Well, hello, welcome wherever you are joining us around the world. It is finally Fight Week. On Saturday night, the new alliance between Queensberry and DAZN will finally start. A heavy impact is coming to Manchester from the Co-op Live, Joyce against Hrgovic. I'm Dev Sani, this is Hall of Fame boxing promoter Frank Warren, and this is the official UNIBET Fight Night preview. Frank, a whole new start. You've been on so many platforms over the years. Now it's time for DAZN on Saturday. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling excited. I'm really delighted that we're on DAZN. It's a great challenge for us. It's a very competitive platform. All these different promoters on there, Matchroom, Golden Boy, etc. And our aim is to be the best and deliver the best shows, same as theirs is. So it'll be great for the viewers, subscribers. They're going to love what they see. And kicking off on Saturday, we had a few hiccups on the show to start with, but I think we even got a better show than we set out to. So I really do feel it's going to be a start of an exciting era for us at Queensberry.
Okay, so obviously it was supposed to be Joyce against Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has hurt his finger, looked like a horrible injury, showed it on TalkSport. But Hrgovic is the man that steps in. Tell us a little bit about this process, Frank. How is it Hrgovic now?
Well, he obviously coming off of a loss against Daniel Dubois. He wants to get back into the mix. He wants to get back to the top table. And he volunteered for the fight. Spoke to Joe. Joe just wants to fight. Joyce just wants to fight. Joe's looking for fighting somebody who's ranked, as Philip is. But for both of them, this is quite an important fight. Joyce, he can't afford a loss. He can't afford another loss. This will determine where he goes in the heavyweight division in the top echelon of it. And I suppose it's the same really for Philip. So it's going to be an exciting fight. And looking at the old adage we use, styles make fights. Their styles will make a good fight. Joe doesn't take a backward step. And Philip, certainly early on in fights, he's very competitive and he lets his shots go. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Hrgovic is actually the favourite with UNIBET. I think we're going to put the odds up there. What are your thoughts on that? Joyce has picked a fight where he is now going in as the underdog. One, that's a testament to Joe's character because he'll fight anyone, but Hrgovic steps in as the favourite. Thoughts on that, Frank?
Yeah, I see the bookmakers have made him favourite, but they get it wrong sometimes. If there weren't such a word as upset, it wouldn't be in the dictionary, would it? And it can be upset. And for me, it's a fight that very early on in this fight, it's going to determine where we're going with it. Because they ain't going to be out feeling each other out. That bell goes, they'll get down to business, the pair of them. That's how I see it. And I feel that for Joe, as I said earlier, he can't afford to lose. He knows that better than you, me, or anybody. He knows what he has to do. And he's been training like a demon. He's really been training hard. And, for me, people say about Joe's punch resistance gone. It's not about that. Not about that at all. Joe, I hope, can move his head and get out the way of punches. Anybody gets caught by big punching guys, they'll go over. And it's not about the punch resistance, it's about getting out the way of them. And that's really what Joe's got to focus on here. And I think, with him, the way he fights, I think he'll be coming out and I think he'll be looking to try and end the fight early.
He's coming off that loss to Derek Chisora, but I think it's being overlooked how that was a very close fight. And
there was nothing in that fight.
Knockdown made the difference.
There was nothing in that fight, and the knockdown did make the difference, you're quite right. There was nothing in it, and it was a very, very competitive fight. And it was an exciting fight between the two of them, and I think it'll be the same on Saturday.
Just on Joyce, does he get the respect he deserves?
Well, he should do. I mean, we've got a lot of respect for him, and he's done phenomenal. I mean, he's a silver medalist, should be the gold medalist. They've been trying for God knows how long to overturn this decision with the Olympics, where he got the silver medal. Done everything as a pro, and when you think, look, everybody's extolling for quite rightly the virtues and what a great fighter Joe Parker is. He beat Joe Parker, you know, and now everybody's saying that Joe was washed up. It just, you know, this heavyweight division is such a, there's been so many turnarounds in it. Everybody, you can't write nobody off because they're big men. They can punch, and they're all hungry. Every one of them. Hardly any of them. It's not like they you know, they're ducking any fights or whatever. They all want to fight, and they're as I say, they're all dangerous guys, and they all smell. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. They all smell the big money. They all smell if they get into that position. You know, we're either in the summer going to have a 4-belt unification fight, or we're going to start having lots of mandatory defences, and they all know that, and they all want to get in those positions to be able to fight to make some money.
In terms of Filip Hrgovic, who's now he signed with Queensberry, is now with this fight. What's your feeling on him? Have you had much discussion with him personally? Is it all with managers?
No, I've seen him fight quite a few times. He's an exciting fighter. He was an avoided fighter before Daniel fought him.
The boogeyman. Sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And he was avoided. He sat there waiting for his chance in a mandatory for nearly 2 years. But you know, he's not a crybaby. He's getting on with it, and he knows what he's got to do to get back into the mix with everybody, and that's win this fight. And the same as with Joe. They both have the same mentality, both of them. They want to win.
What do you see as the path for the winner?
What do I see as a prize for the winner?
As the path, what would be next?
After that, a big fight.
Yeah.
Another big fight, and then maybe a crack at the world title. You know, as I say, these mandatories are all going to happen, and who knows? Maybe if whoever holds the belts, they may decide to vacate one, which again makes it exciting because it's not just about the mandatory; it's who's in the number 2 spot as well. So you know, it's exciting times. This heavyweight division is so lively, it's so good, and we're blessed with heavyweights at Queensberry, and we just want to keep delivering those big fights.
Well, we'll come back to the kind of the world scene towards the end of the interview, talk about what's going on with Dubois, Chisora. There's so much news out there. But sticking to this card, there's another fantastic British heavyweight title fight between David Adeleye and Jamie TKV. Now, you've promoted so many British heavyweight title fights over the years: Fury, Chisora, Dubois, Joyce. This is another cracker on Saturday.
It is. I mean, I'll go back promoting British title fights back to the 81. So that's quite a long time, 45 years. Yeah,
before my time.
Only a little bit by a year. But I think it's always been exciting when, you know, the British heavyweight title fights have always been exciting fights. And for David Adeleye, this is a fight he has to win. He's with us, and he has to win this fight. You know, he lost that fight to Fabio, come back and had a real good win against Sol Dakers, an emphatic win, and he's got to do the same thing this time. But he gets himself in there. He's a young man. He's hungry. Then, you know, he can be in some seriously big fights. And the British scene is really lively. I mean, look at we're blessed with heavyweights in the UK.
Everywhere you look, and they seem to be fighting all the time as well. Oh. On David Adeleye, you've had him for his whole career since his debut. Yeah. Does a load of tickets. He's got that star quality, a bit of charisma, a bit of swag, a bit of aura about him. He could, with the right wins, really mix it at this level, and certainly in terms of star quality, he's there.
He can punch, you know, he can punch. And it's all about, you know, sometimes a bit about growing up as well. You know, you mature and so forth, and he's in a very good place at the moment. So this is a chance for him to go out on a big stage and go and make a statement.
So with Adam Booth now as well, David Hayes' old trainer.
Yeah.
He put up this photo of 24 years apart, him with David Hay wrapping the gloves, him with Adeleye now. He seems to be in a good place.
He does. He seems very happy. You know, I speak to his connections, and all of them are happy where they're at. So a happy fighter is all you want. You're happy. It's not just about clapping your hands. It's when you're happy, you go out and do the business in style.
Well, he's in against Jamie TKV. Now, Jamie TKV comes from that Ben Davison gym. Now, if the formula to beat David Adeleye comes from anywhere, it's from that gym. He's been sparring Fabio Wardley. Wardley's been posting that he's sharp as a razor and this kind of thing. Be interesting.
It is interesting, but it adds spice to it. And they're competitive fights. And, whatever way you want to look at it, you're buying a ticket or you're watching it on TV, you're watching it on DAZN, you're going to be entertained. These are good matches. These are good. This is a fighting card. You're going to get good fights.
For the winner of this fight, now let me just throw something out there. There's another big heavyweight fight coming up on DAZN, the rematch between Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen. Does it feel like there could be a bit of a...
Love to do it. Love to do it, yeah. Great fight to make. Good domestic bust-up.
Similar kind of level heavyweights as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's official. So the winner of this, hopefully they get asked about.
We'll have a word with Eddie and see what we can do. We're all on the same platform.
We're all friends. We're all friends here. Another heavyweight making his debut. For me, it's one of the most exciting things in boxing when you've got a young heavyweight who has been talked about, highly touted, and he throws his first punch as a pro, and we're all there watching. And we've got that with Delicious Orie, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, GB Olympian, coming up on Saturday. Excited?
I am. He's another character, and I'm looking forward to seeing him fighting without his vest on. It's going to be a good journey, I hope, for him. But he again got the bit between his teeth. He's really wants to make a emphatic statement. So it's his first fight. All eyes will be on him.
There's nothing like it with the heavyweights. I just remember Moses Itan was one that was on the Beterbiev Yard undercard. Daniel Dubois back in 2017. There's oohs and ahs. There's something different in the crowd.
They are, and they like, the fans love the big guys, especially when they're big punchers.
How good of a signing is Delicious Orie? I'd imagine you were, clamouring and having to fight off.
Oh, we're delighted he's on board with us. How good he is, we'll find out. That's for him to show everybody what he's all about. I think he's got a lot of talent.
In terms of the speed of moving him, he's 27 years old, so he's not as late as Joe Joyce, who was 31 when he started, but he's not as young as Moses either. What kind of speed are we looking at?
Let's have a look at the first fight.
Yeah.
It's not a race. I'll always say to you, it's not a 100 metres race. This is a marathon. And it's about making the right moves at the right time and guiding people's careers. It's not about, being crude. It's not a pissing contest. These guys have careers. They want longevity in the sport and learn their craft and their trade. So that's our job to make sure that happens.
It's like with Grant Smith in Sheffield as well. Feels like he's got good people.
He's very happy. He's very happy to talk to him. He again is in a good place.
It's good to have fighters in good places. Plenty of super lightweight fights as well on this show. There's some unbeaten collisions here and there. Khalil Majid against Alex Murphy.
Bloody good fight, that is, isn't it?
Where's that one come from? I saw that on the bill update. That's lovely, that.
It's a great fight card. It's a really good competitive fight card.
Jack Rafferty as well. Now he's in against Corey O'Regan again in the super lightweight division. Have you been impressed with Jack?
I have. He's got good following as well. He's well liked fella. He's got a lot of people, who buy tickets to go and watch him in action. Very impressed with him. Very professional, and he's done it the hard way. It's a small halls working his way through. That's been good grounding for him.
Well, at that press conference, because his breakout win was against Henry Turner, of course, it was the Queensberry fighter, still is, of course. But he said at that launch press conference, once I get to the big stage, you won't be able to get me off it. And this is his third fight in a row on one of our shows, and he's one of us now.
He is, and that was a competitive fight with Henry. I mean, Henry was doing really well in that fight till the stoppage, and he's come back, as you know. Jack's got a good future. And there's some good fights there to be made.
A Manchester fighter who weighs 10 stone. Heard this one before?
Yeah, I've heard it. I can't think where, that was Blue Moons ago.
There's another, now a new super lightweight. Mark Chamberlain. What a story Mark Chamberlain has had. He's now up in weight. What's this period been like for him? He was flying. He was Turki Al-Sheikh's favourite fighter is what we were hearing. And
well, he was, and what's happened with him? He's got to fight his way back into where it is. He lost to
Josh Padley.
Lost to Josh, and that was and for him that was a bit of a blow. For Josh, it was great, But he's had to move up. He was struggling at the weight. He's moved up again into another division, and he's got to go out and do the business.
So you would have had conversations with Mark. You would have, you've been with him his whole career as well. You'd have seen how. Did his head get too big? Did he get too excited with everything that was going on? Did it all get too much? What's your?
When His Excellency was singing his praises, which is great. You still got to keep your feet on the floor, and I think that loss against Josh at Wembley was a big disappointment. It was a big disappointment, but that's what you have to focus. You have to be on the money. Everybody's coming. Everybody is coming to get that win, to take, especially at this level, to take that opportunity to get onto the bigger platform. And Mark's a really, really good quality fighter. He's been with us, as you said, from the beginning. So he's now got to show what he's all about. He's got to go out there and really do the business. And there's a couple of big fights that we can make this year. Maybe with somebody else who's on that card, who knows? But there's some really good fights to be made.
Well, I like the sound of that. Look, he's up at super lightweight now. He was huge at lightweight. He's still going to be a big super lightweight, but Jack Rafferty, is he
great domestic bust-up, isn't it? It's a great fight. And you could, that fight, I'm quite sure, if we got it made sometime this year, that would just be more than a domestic fight. That would get somebody in the top 3 or 4 of the world.
Yeah, that would be an absolute cracker. Okay, so that's the super lightweights all tied up. There's also Royston Barney-Smith. I know he's kind of dear to your heart. I remember him coming in the office when he was just 17 years old, big bright smile, and look at him now. He's doing so well.
He is, and he's developed. He's matured physically and mentally, but certainly physically, and he's doing well with Ben. Ben's done a good job with him, and I'm expecting big things of him this year.
He's still just 21 years old, and he's in that camp with Lee Wood. I spoke to Royston before, and he said, obviously Lee Wood's ahead at the moment, but every now and again he just has a little glance at him, like, how far behind am I? That kind of thing. He's got that hunger.
Well, it's good to feel that way, because that's what they're the guys you've got to beat. When you're a young fighter, you're thinking, I want to be the guy. I want to be the number one in this gym, and I want to be the number one in the world. And it gives you aspirations and things to look up to and goals to achieve. And he's a very ambitious young man.
He certainly is. Well, that is Saturday night, live on DAZN. A couple of other bits, Frank, while I've got you. So the heavyweight division, so much going on. I'm seeing new headlines every day. I'm seeing Derek Chisora pop up on TalkSport. I'm seeing Joe Parker do call-out videos to Shania Twain, calling out Usyk. What is going on right now?
What is going on?
Just throw that out there. What's going on in the heavyweight division?
Well, Mr. Usyk, he's got 3 belts. He's been ordered by the WBO to defend his belt against Joe Parker, who's the interim champion. He either does that or vacates it, or under their rules, he can go for a unification against Daniel Dubois, where the 4 belts will be on the line. So that's going to be his choice, and he's going to have to make that choice very quickly. And depending on that choice, everything else will just pan out, and we've got plan A's and B's, and we'll do what we got to do. All the fighters you mentioned will all fight this summer, all of them.
So are we just kind of waiting on Usyk to say you?
I'm not going to go into too much details, but they are his options, and it's his choices as the number one to make his decision.
Daniel Dubois has now broken his silence, did a couple of interviews, did Umar at Box Nation, did his own kind of platform as well, and he's made it clear he wants either Usyk for all the belts, Parker to shut people up, AJ again if he can get hold of him. Have you got a preference? Like, what are you thinking? It was good
Our
to see.
Our preference is the 4 belts.
Yeah.
I'm not. I've said it. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say any different. I'm not changing my mind. And the reason I say that because I think that today's Daniel Dubois against Usyk will be a great fight. Will be a great fight. It was a very controversial fight with that, the low blow situation, the 4-minute break in between. it's you know, I mean, it'll sell out anywhere. It'll sell out, and it's a great fight. And it doesn't stop Joe Parker from getting his chance or anything because he's the mandatory. And what would happen then? He would fight whoever wins that fight. He'll fight him for the 4 belts instead of 1 belt or 3 belts.
So, yeah, I mean,
Win-win for everybody.
It does kind of sound like it. In terms of Daniel, why is he better placed now to beat Alexander Usyk than he was before?
I think the experience of fighting Usyk, I think mentally he's changed a lot since that fight, and look at the roll of wins he's been on. I mean, he's fought at the highest level of any heavyweight in probably not even 18 months, probably was it about 15 months. The quality, the amount of fights he's had, undefeated fighters, two-time world champions, you know, quality. And out of those 4 fights, he won 3 of them by knockout. And it weren't a low blow and put him on the floor.
Listen, we
know but it is what it is. It is what it is.
So Daniel's got his tail up. He's ready to go. There's another man with his tail up who's ready to go as well, and he's Daniel's mandatory in Derek Chisora. He's been quite vocal. He's been on social media saying, "I want you, Daniel, 50th fight, final one."
Listen, he'll get him. He'll get him. I mean, you know, there's some really, really, you know, as I say, really good fights to be made there, and he's part of the process. I mean, it's his 50th fight. We talked. That's why he came with us. Now he came with us, not as what some promoter said recently. You need an independent promoter. Have an independent promoter and get a guy who's got who's fighting for the final eliminator at the title, put him in another fight and get him beat. That's the sort of promoter you want. Don't know his arse from his elbow.
For the final 50th fight, though, that's quite the fairy tale. If Derek,
it is, and he deserves it. I mean,
did you think that was going to happen when you signed up Derek Chisora?
No, not in a million years. But he deserves it. I mean, he's there. I mean, one thing. I mean, I'll tell you what. The warmth and love he got from the crowd in Manchester, it amazed me as well, to be quite honest. And his performance, and it was a bloody good fight, wasn't it? It was an excellent fight, and he does what he always does. He comes out of that ring with nothing because he leaves everything in the ring. He does not, you know, throws everything at it, and that's why I think all the crowd love him. And you can imagine if he were to fight Daniel, if that were to happen, if it is for the world title in his 50th fight, I mean, what a fairy story that would be, wouldn't it?
It would be incredible. You mentioned a couple of minutes ago that Usyk will have to make that decision quite soon. Have you got a timeline in your head? Because it feels like...
No, the WBO put a timeline on.
Right.
So that's not for me to put. They put the timeline down.
So that's the WBO saying, are you going to fight Parker or not?
Correct.
Okay, so we should find out...
Very soon.
Very soon. Final one, Frank. I noticed Jake Paul called out Anthony Joshua. Any thoughts on that?
No. Look, I'll tell you one thing about Jake.
Yeah.
He wants to fight people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not, I mean, really, he could be calling out YouTubers. Because you look at the amount of, you know, how many fights he had, pro fights, and you look at him, and, I mean, it's a bit of a call out, that is, but I like Jake. You know that, you know.
Yeah.
I think he's a good promoter. I think he's got a lot of balls, and I think, and you know, his team have always been, anytime we've ever done any business with them, it's always been spot on. They're you know, really been a pleasure all the way through.
Dangerous fight for Anthony Joshua to take, or?
Look, AJ, if he's going to fight on, he's going to have to fight somebody. It's going to have to be a big fight. Now, that would be a big fight as far as, you know, people watching it. I think it'd be a massive fight. If he doesn't fight Jake, then he's got to fight probably one of our guys, because most of the heavyweights are on our books. So if he, you know, whatever he wants to do, we'll speak to him and his team and gladly do it. I mean, he's been a great servant for British boxing, hasn't he? He's 2-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist, silver medalist in the World Amateur Championships. I mean, he's got a bit of a pedigree there, and I'm sure he won't. You know, he won't want to go out on a loss. I wouldn't think. But whatever he wants to do, you know, we're here to do business.
Anything on Tyson Fury? He seems to be going on holiday.
He's retired.
Of course.
And that's it. That's it. He's retired. He's got a lot of plans. I think he's going to be announcing some things through soon, so I understand. And that's where he's at. If he wants to fight, he'll fight. If he don't want to fight, he won't fight. And I'll tell you what, that ain't a discussion I'm going to have with him. I know everyone's saying that now, but I've said that from the beginning. Leave the man alone. Let him go and get on with his life. He has been also, even more so for me, an unbelievable advert for British boxing. Again, 2-time world champion. Two of the best heavyweight fights at the level. Him and Usyk, great fights, both of them. Split decision, one of them, and very, just close fights. I mean, I've got my opinion, who won and whatever, but I'm not going to go into that. But great fights to watch, dramatic fights. Probably one of the best live heavyweight fights I've ever attended. The third fight he had with Deontay Wilder. I mean, that was just one of the most amazing fights I've seen. And a character, and it's well documented, all the stuff, all the problems he had, and a champion to come back from all that. Not what he in the ring, what he done out the ring, to come back from that that dark place he was in, and losing all the weight, the boozing, the drugging, and everything. I mean, he deserves everything he's got, and he deserves to have a happy life with his family, and whatever he wants to do, God bless him. He's paid his dues.
Is he coming on Saturday?
Yeah, I hope so. He better be there. Bloody bet it's in his home near. How long is it? Spitting distance from where he lives.
From Morecambe to Manchester.
Yeah, don't let me down, Tyson. Be there, young.
We'll see you on Saturday, Tyson.
Or we send the boys round.
Yeah, don't send me round. But yeah.
I said I'll send the boys.
The boys, yeah, I'm not one of the boys. Frank, final words on a big show on Saturday night. You must just be excited to get going now.
I am. I'm looking forward to this new chapter in the involvement of Queensberry on DAZN. Great to be there, great people there, and we're going to make the most of it. We're going to take every advantage we can as promoters to bring you the best shows. That's what we're going to be doing.
That's what we're going to do. This was the official UNIBET preview. We will see you on Saturday.
And if you're going to have a bet, make sure it's a UNIBET.